I was thinking if in Star Wars, if they never said the word lightsaber, if they're just like, here, use this.
Yeah. Oh, it's a glowing sword, and everybody calls it something
or just
different.
Whatever. They just never said, here, take this weapon. Then what would people eventually call it? Or like, it's going to be called something. It's not. It wouldn't not have a name eventually.
Yeah.
Right. It just either the people who made it are going to give it a name, or it's going to take a while for people to come up with something that everyone really decides, yes, this is now what it's called.
There's I can't remember, maybe Ryan Cahill. It's like an indie author, self-published author who's really famous, or really big in the indie author community, and he wrote a big novel series that has what are effectively lightsabers in it, but slightly cooler. And he thought people were just going to be like, oh, he's ripping off Star Wars. Nobody mentions that he's ripping off Star Wars because they're like, they think his magic system's like this or something like that. And then he's like, I thought everybody was going to, complain that I'm just making lightsabers. And they're like, but most of the comments are like, yeah, but yours are like a little different and cooler than lightsabers. So we don't talk about lightsabers. We talk about your sword. Like if you've read your books, we talk about lightsabers are just a worse version of what you've done. So he's like, phew. It's just that kind of funny thing. So lightsabers, somewhere out there, people have done laser swords, and they may have taken on a different name if a different one became a pop culture or like a classic thing. And his story might have been the one. His would have been the bar of what a laser sword could be.
Yeah.
But now it's like lightsabers everywhere.
And that kind of is the thing with everything. It's like you're going to do something, and then somebody will either think, well, that's either worse or just as good or better than
qualified
than the thing that I know of that's similar. Because I know of something, so I can recognize what you're doing, but you've either changed it. You've changed it in some way that it's going to be. I'm going to then qualify it and make sense of it based on what I already know.
Apparently, Greek retellings and all that stuff was big over the last year or so, and everybody's sick of it in the novel writing world, of just they've been redone constantly. But one of the cool things about mythology and whatnot is the whole point of it is kind of like the fact that there are so many retellings and they're all different and all that, so it's kind of cool that way, that the novel writing world of just like retelling all these stories in all these different ways became a thing for a while. At this point, everyone was like, well, that was neat. Can we stop now and just have original content? Because it really exploded the way vampire novels might once. And then now it's kind of like it was the next fad. And all of those are retellings and requalifying of the old stories over and over again in all these different ways. Like, just think of the amount of times that Romeo and Juliet has been done in like Hollywood movies to theater plays to whatever else. Like, it's all the same symbol. Like when you say Romeo and Juliet, people have an idea or vibe or like what that thing is, and then it can be done thousands and thousands of ways and just reframed and stuff, and everybody had a different interpretation of what that is, but it's still a resonant symbol that permeates through culture. To have those things stick is kind of cool. Down a rabbit hole, I bet people, like, it seems like it's such a niche specific thing. Like, down the rabbit hole, we know what that means, but I bet everybody has a totally different framing of what down the rabbit hole really means too, like in some subtle, sneaky way.